Hi, this is Joe Green, head pastor of St. Paul Missionary Baptist Church in Harrisburg, also the founder of the 2019 movement. And I want to share a couple of thoughts with you. There's a recent article, June 11th, in the Daily Mail that is written by Sumam Mendonca. And the article is titled BLM co-founder Patrisse Cullors erected a fence allegedly worth $35,000 around her fourth and $1.4 million worth house in Los Angeles. Patrisse Cullors puts up an expensive electric fence around her $1.4 million home after berating the police. And let me read a little bit of the article, and I'm going to tell you why this is a problem. And we should all be concerned about this. We should all be concerned about this, especially Black people. Black Lives Matter co-founder Patrisse Cullors is being slammed after the news of her reportedly putting up a $35,000 fence and electric gate around her $1.4 million home in Los Angeles as it became public. The 37-year-old Cullors had purchased the 2,380 square foot, three-bedroom, three-bath home in March, leading to speculations of misappropriation of funds of the BLM Foundation. Daily Mail quoted a neighbor of Cullors who had told that the wooden fence Cullors was erecting around the property and other exterior improvements cost at least $35,000. It is said that the setup included an electronic gate at the driveway portion, a walk-up door, and a call box, and other safety measures like cameras. Cullors resigned from the post of executive director of the Black Lives Matter organization on May 27th, 2021. She was receiving flack after it was revealed that she had bought at least 4 mansions and amassed a huge property. When questioned about the finances, Cullors had said that she had not touched the money of the foundation for her personal use, and also stated that she had bought the Los Angeles property with the money she earned through her book deals. She also clarified that allegations did not play any role in her quitting the BLM Foundation. Previously, it was reported that Cullors had purchased 4 homes at a cost of $3.2 million. Following the news, Hawk Newsom, the head of Black Lives Matter Greater New York City, had demanded an independent investigation into the finances of the BLM Foundation, co-owned by Cullors. Reports claim that before purchasing the $1.4 million worth property in Los Angeles, Cullors had bought 2 more properties in the city and also owned another property in Georgia. The recently purchased Los Angeles property includes a separate guest house and an expensive backyard. The 3.2-acre Georgia property, purchased for $415,000, is said to have a pool and an airplane hangar. Interesting. A pool and an airplane hangar. Cullors is also said to have bought 2 properties in Los Angeles, and one of them worth $510,000. A 3-bedroom home in Inglewood was purchased in 2016. She had purchased another 4-bedroom home worth $590,000 in South Los Angeles in 2018, say the reports. Another recent report in the New York Post stated that Cullors was looking to buy an ultra-exclusive Albany resort outside Nassau in the Bahamas. Though this information is not confirmed, it has left both supporters and anti-fans of BLM movement angry. Now, this sounds like some extravagant stuff here. And I'm going to talk about why this is a problem and why we should all be concerned. First of all, unless you were under a rock or on a different planet over the last couple of years, you know how influential the BLM movement has been over the last several years, especially in 2020. It was almost like the entire world, especially the United States, was affected by the death of George Floyd and the protests all over the country. BLM has been around since after the Trayvon Martin situation, where Trayvon Martin was killed down in Florida. They also were a part of the Mike Brown situation in Ferguson, Missouri, and some of these other high-profile cases. But of course, the George Floyd thing put them over the top. It's also reported that in 2020, they received at least around $90 million in contributions. Right now, the reason that this is problematic, first and foremost, the first reason why this is so problematic at what she's doing is because Black Lives Matter and especially Patrisse Cullors, who is on record several times touting the fact that she is a Marxist. She is very well versed and trained in Marxism. Right now, for those of you who may or may not know, Marxism is anti-God and it's anti-capitalism. Anti-God, that philosophy is anti-God and anti-capitalism. That's not a speculation or a guess or a rumor. Karl Marx himself is quoted as saying his life's goal was to dethrone God and to destroy capitalism. So Marxism in itself is anti-capitalism. So the reason that's such a problem is because Patrisse Cullors, who is touting Marxism, and that's the foundation of the belief system, the ideology behind Black Lives Matter. She said that more than once. She's on record saying that Black Lives Matter is based on Marxism and the philosophy of Marxism. That's the ideological bent of Black Lives Matter. Yet everything about this story speaks of capitalism. And Marxism is anti-capitalism. So she's convincing everyone else to adhere to a Marxist philosophy, but she's not exemplifying it. And my thing is this: I'm not, begrudging her to have a nice house, but this is extravagant. This is not just nice. $3.4 million in personal property to live in, a $35,000 fence and a $1.4 million property and multiple properties. This is capitalism 101. And her excuse that I didn't get the money from Black Lives Matter, I got it from my book deals. That's capitalism. If you wrote a book and you sold it and made a lot of money from selling books, that is the essence of capitalism. And so it's amazing. And it's unfortunate how many people are duped by these people. And I was very outspoken and vocal against Black Lives Matter early on, and I'll explain why. But at the end of the day, this is par for the course. Karl Marx himself, actually never really contributed much other than writing a book in philosophy and convincing other people that Marxism made sense. He benefited off of rich benefactors. They would give him money. He didn't really ever have a job, never did anything, but he got money to live a lifestyle. He abandoned his family. His family lived in poverty. His children, a couple of his children actually died because of their squalid conditions. But yet he goes around and he talks about how evil capitalism is and makes money off of rich people. And so this is the same thing that's happening here. And this has happened to our community a lot right now. So the first reason why this is a problem is how do you get rich going around trying to convince people and promote Marxist ideology while pocketing large sums of money, right, from book deals. It's also reported that she was hired as an advisor for a firm because of her, her work in BLM, and she was making approximately $20,000 a month, right? That's a lot more than the average person needs to live, right? So she's living an extravagant lifestyle while convincing others that capitalism is evil. Also, the second reason, and this is probably even more egregious than the first one, is that the families of the victims in which the organization gained notoriety and influence was not compensated from the money received through Black Lives Matter on behalf of their loved one, and neither have they had direct contact with the founders of Black Lives Matter. Now, this is on record. Mike Brown's father said that they hadn't received any money, even though Black Lives Matter gained influence and gained notoriety in part because of their, hands up, don't shoot Mike Brown campaign, right? Even though they had no connection with the actual father of Mike Brown, and the money that they received, which is reported that in 2020 alone, they received over $90 million in contributions. But yet Mike Brown and the other victims that they got their money off of and their platform off of isn't getting compensated. Tamir Rice, who was in Ohio, I think he's in Cleveland or he somewhere in Ohio, the 13-year-old that got shot by police officers. His mother said she's never even had a conversation with the Black Lives Matter people. So they're going around, they're saying, say their name. They have this huge campaign. They're very influential. NBA, many large organizations, many schools and municipalities are embracing Black Lives Matter. And funding, giving support to it. But yet it's a scam. It's a scam. How do you make a whole bunch of money off the death of someone else's child and don't even have a relationship with that child? Don't they don't give them any support and don't even have a relationship with them. That would be like me going and going around making money off of somebody else that I don't even know, right? Just telling everybody, yeah, I'm such and such, and I'm good friends with him. And if you give me money to support him, and I take the money and I don't even know the person. That's really a highway robbery, if you will. But this is nothing new. And this is not going to be a long video. I'm going to repeat some of the things I've been repeating over the last year or so. This is something that's happened over and over again. The global power elites have always enlisted the services of what we call gatekeepers from the community. These gatekeepers get compensated greatly by fanning the flames of racial unrest, yet shaping the narrative in a way that never resolves the real issues and keeps Black America in a constant state of unrest, stress, and disenfranchisement and fear. It's another word for this is the Hegelian dialectic, and they always get rich, but the community never gets anything in return. They keep the Black community in a constant state of fear, stress, anxiety, hatred, and all these type of things by fanning the flames, right, and shaping the narrative in a way that can't be resolved. And so, like the defund the police movement that people have, isn't it ironic that some of these people that are promoting this idea of defunding the police, yet people like Patrisse Cullors has this huge security fence around her house and cameras and all that other stuff. She may even have a security team, but she's telling the average person that you don't deserve to be protected, which is what the job of the police are supposed to do. Some of these neighborhoods where the rioting and poverty and drugs and gang violence is very prevalent, you're saying that defunding the police is the solution for that. And I promise you, none of these people think that's a good idea. The people in Chicago are not afraid of white supremacy. They're not afraid of a Ku Klux Klan member or a neo-Nazi coming to harm their children because the majority of the Black kids Black people that get killed in Chicago get killed by the Black people. So neo-Nazism and white supremacy is something that is not the major threat in their lives by any stretch of the imagination. And, again, this is not a new thing. When you think about Booker T. Washington, who he wrote from 1856 to 1915, was a public speaker. He's one of the founders of Tuskegee University. And his quote, he has this famous quote. And the reason I say this is nothing new, because if you think about Booker T. Washington living in the end of the 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century, if he's making quotes like this, then this is a strategy that's been around for well over 100 years now. His quote is, "There's a class of colored people who make a business of keeping the troubles, the wrongs, and the hardships of the Negro race before the public. Some of these people do not want the Negro to lose his grievances because they do not want to lose their jobs. There's a certain class of race problem solvers who don't want the patient to get well." Now, this is Booker T. Washington, and this is what we're saying. We're saying these people that they are framing a narrative in a way that just keeps us hating each other, fighting each other, keeps people in this constant state of fear, but there is no solution being offered. Critical race theory is something that is similar. Critical race theory is basically, it looks at everything through the lens of race and socioeconomics, which is also targeting capitalism, but it doesn't offer any solutions. And the only solution is, if white people are inherently racist and there's nothing they can do about it, and Black people are inherently oppressed and there's nothing that they can do about it, then there's no real solution. It just keeps people in a constant state of Black people disenfranchisement and victimhood, and white people either guilt or animosity, because if you're white, if you know that you're not a racist, then you're going to have a level of animosity at being called a racist all the time. And if you are, if you had an issue with that, then you may be in a constant state of guilt that even if you repented for your bias or bigoted viewpoints, then you're going to have to live in a constant state of guilt, and there's nothing to that really is prosperous. I remind people, and then I'm going to close with this. I'm going to give you a scripture, and then I'm going to bring it to a close. I remind people that even though we try to look at America as being such an evil country because of the past, because of slavery of the past and Jim Crow South and all the other atrocities that have happened in the past, that's the human condition. As a matter of fact, every culture, every nation pretty much, or every what we call race, which is just a social construct, have enslaved each other. They've had slavery in it. From the Asian people, that they had enslaved each other for a long time. To the Europeans, they had slavery in Europe and Africa. Africa had as a matter of fact, before the European slave trade, the Africans have slave trade, and Africa still has a slave trade right now, booming slave trade right now. South America, you go back to the Aztecs and those ancient societies. It's always been the case. You've always had people being enslaved. You've always had people being oppressed. You've always had people being mistreated. And that's the condition of our fallen nature of humanity. And so if you're going to really be down on white supremacy or white people for enslaving Africans, you also have to be upset at Africans for enslaving Africans as well. The Europeans didn't go to Africa and just start snatching people off the street, unlike what Roots, the book Roots tells us in the movie. For the most part, the Europeans went and traded with other Africans to purchase other Africans. And so, again, when we look at things in this kind of very limited historical, perspective, yeah, it's easy to manipulate and control, which is what the people with that touts critical race theory, or the people that are behind Black Lives Matter, or those, they're counting on you not looking at things from the broader historical perspective of humanity, but looking at the snapshot in time, and continue to remind us of the evil and wickedness of the past as a way to manipulate the present and the future. And so we have to be very, very mindful, have our eyes open, use your wisdom, use your information. Research some of the stuff that, when I say on my channel, I have people that will disagree with me, but they have no perspective. They have no information. They don't have any documentation. They just, because they've been told otherwise, they don't want to believe what is being said. They've been manipulated and controlled for so long that they just go along with the narrative that they've been told. And finally, I want to, like I said, this is not a new thing. This has happened even during the time of Booker T. Washington. There were people that were what they call race hustlers or race baiters, that they always wanted to talk about race and fan the flames. Frederick Douglass dealt with this as well. And he was even further back than Booker T. Washington. But I'm going to take it a little bit further back in the book of Exodus. In the book of Exodus, chapter 1, we read about the story of Pharaoh and Egypt. And it says here in Exodus 1, verse 9, and he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when they faileth out of any war, that they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore they did not set over them taskmasters to afflict them. They set taskmasters over them to afflict them, and then Pharaoh goes and he employs Hebrew midwives, and he says to them, if it's a boy, kill it. When the Hebrew wives have a baby and you're helping to deliver the baby, I want you to kill it if it's a boy. If it's a woman, let it live. That's a form of not only eugenics, which is what we see through the abortion industry, but also what he does is he gets people from the community. He employs people from the very community he's trying to destroy to help promote his ideology of death and destruction. And so that's what we see here. We see the same philosophy, these gatekeepers, these boule people, these controlled opposition, if you will, whatever you want to call them, agent provocateurs, and all these other terms, that they get these people to fan the flames and stir up things and create a narrative that always keeps us fighting, always keeps us mistrusting each other, and never offers any real solutions. But they get enriched from it. They gain the wealth. There's a lot of money in the whole race industry, and they are doing a good job at reaping the benefits from it at the sake of us. So we have to have our eyes and our ears open. We have to begin to look at things logically, accurately, historically, and realistically. And we have to not allow ourselves to be deceived through our emotionalism, but stand on truths, especially biblical truths, in order for us to succeed and to grow and to heal our land. This is Joe Green. Until next time, peace and blessings to you. Please like and share and subscribe to my channel, my YouTube channel, if this is beneficial to you. And also please share it with those who you think may need to hear this information. Peace and blessings to you.